Thank you, Sanjeev sir. With this, we come to the end of the third session of today's event. I would like to reiterate my thanks to all session speakers for sharing their brilliant insights into the innovations and offerings in cloud and IT infrastructure for geospatial implementation. We now proceed to the next part of our event, a panel discussion on geospatial data and analytics for infrastructure. May I invite on stage the moderator for this panel, Megha Datta, Director, Marketing. For the event include Mr. Anand Sirohi, Director, Trimble, Mr. Nikhil Kumar, President, Geospatial at MapmyIndia and Vice President, AGI, and Mr. Milan, CEO, Bhugol GIS. Mr. Pradeep Rathore of Altera India cannot join us today because of an emergency. So I request all the panelists to please join us on stage. And I request Megha to take over the panel from here.
So I'm very aware that we are standing between you and the cocktail reception. So we will definitely, thank you. We'll definitely try to keep it short. But also with that, I would like to say that we've kind of saved the best for last. And this is a very esteemed panel, and I'm really feeling honored to be moderating this panel discussion, which is focusing on data and analytics for infrastructure. So the infrastructure in India is estimated to grow at a compound annual growth rate of approximately 7% in these years. The government is planning to invest over 100 lakh crore on infrastructure projects by 2024-25. Urban infrastructure, road transport, energy, and railways account for about 70% of allocation of investments in the national infrastructure pipeline. In all this, the importance of geospatial data and analytics plays a very, very critical role in the entire life cycle of these infrastructure development programs. So, to all our panelists, esteemed panelists, I have a couple of questions which we would like to have your views on. Starting from Nikhil, how would you like to sum up the current or the innovations which are coming up with regards to data and analytics for infrastructure planning, development, implementation, and monitoring in India?
Yeah, thank you, Megha. I mean, by actually saying that we are mindful of the time, you also given us a hint that we be very brief and succinct. So we'll take that. So there are two parts. One part is, right? And the second part is the data and analytics. So the data and analytics, especially the geospatial data and analytics, is what make the network, all the network that you talk about, the infrastructure network, intelligent. So you see we have 150,000 kilometers of national highways. We have close to 6,45,000 PMGSY road network. We have more than a lakh of kilometers of railway network. And we have about more than 20,000 of inland waterways, from 5 to 13 to 111 is what the aspiration is. Now, data and analytics, how is that going to be deployed? So why is infrastructure required? So that it provides you or lowers down your logistics costs. So logistics is one of the consumer. And since in the room I see more of a supplier than the demand side, I would like to talk more in the specificity of what is the efficiency, what is the productivity, and how can data analytics can ensure that the innovation that you spoke of is going to pay dividend. So Government of India has the plan of lowering down the logistics cost. That is why Gati Shakti as a national master plan was created. It's a very high logistics cost that we have. We want to reduce that. Now, innovation is how can we link data available? We have many people who have actually have created network data for all this infrastructure that I spoke of, whether it is water, railway, and air and all. But who are the consumer? So the logistics, transportation is one of the biggest consumer. There are many other things. I and you as a citizen is a consumer because we, travel on that. So one part is from the business side, the second part is from the convenience side, third part is from the environment side, and fourth part is from the security side, safety side, let me call it. So let's see from the productivity side. Now, if somebody has to reduce his logistics costs, so there is a shipper, there is a consigner and consignee, he has to plan his fleet. How would he be able to do? So innovation is happening in allowing this multiple or disparate data sources to be amalgamated, aggregated, and extended as a tool so that somebody can choose, okay, if I have to move this consignment from A point to B point, what is the best and most economical route I have? Right? So the innovation is happening in creating that, algorithm which allows integration of these multiple data sources and extending that to the logistics company. So one thing that I can tell you is people actually bother about what is the cost from point A to B, or in a road, which are the toll that I have to take, what kind of road segments that I'm going to embrace. All these data is available, but putting that into one app is what people require from the business side of it. I can go on and on this. Then from the environmental side, of course, if you are kind of decongest your road and bring that on the water, which is much lower in terms of the logistics cost, that's also paying a lot of return in terms of the environmental side of it. By decongesting, you are also allowing people, say through an app, if he's able to actually get, okay, which are the turns which has far more black spot? Or if you are able to provide basis, average annual traffic analytics or data as to which is the route that he should be able to pick. So that comes into the convenience side of it and also the safety side of it. So a lot of innovation is happening in bringing these multiple formats, multiple sources of data into one and extending that as one service.
Very interesting. So going on to you, Anand sir. You have years of experience in hardcore infrastructure work, and what are your views on the kind of innovations which are coming up in geospatial data and analytics for this domain?
So while Nikhil spoke on the other side of the infrastructure, I would take you towards the development of the infrastructure, maybe planning, and then probably, for the audience, it would be easier to see that what is the advantage. And while Nikhil also mentioned that we have a lot of suppliers in the room, but suppliers are different in the categories. Some are technology suppliers, some are the services suppliers for the infrastructure development, and some people are the owner. I do not see contractors in the room, but if they are contractors, I think we cover the entire ecosystem for the infrastructure development. Now coming to the basic, because I heard, 3-4 times, because I joined late here in the room, people spoke about data driven. And I would start with the connected, sustainable construction, infrastructure development. And I will again start with the first point, that when any project is started, let's take example of a new rail project, a new high-speed rail project or whatever. The first part is, before a project report, before the project is conceived, we do a pre-feasibility report, then we do a feasibility report. Let me take now, on the innovation side, an example. And I'm glad the customer is in the room. SECON was doing the alignment planning for National High-Speed Rail. They use the technology, the survey data, not the Google data, just uspe line nahi khicha. They use the data, all the sets of data which were available with the survey, and on that, there were rule-based integrations which were there, that if the gradient is more than that, you need a bridge. If the cost is going more in the mountainous region, because that region was mountainous, then you need a tunnel. What is more costly? What is more environmental friendly? So there are technologies. So based on the artificial intelligence and machine learning, we reduce the alignment, right, Deepak? From 95 kilometers to 85 kilometers, and 1 kilometer of the construction cost 100 crores. 1000 crore बचाया सिर्फ 20 लाख रुपए की टेक्नोलॉजी लगा. I have the customer in the room, and you can check with the National High Speed Rail. The second thing which I would take, the same, because another thing which I have a little pain here is that while the basis of every infrastructure project is survey data, but none of the companies which play a big role in the infrastructure development, they don't have survey teams. Because unfortunately, the survey is considered as a low-end job, whereas the entire development cycle of the project is based on that survey data. That survey data will be used for design detailing, DPR. Based on that DPR, a tender would be released for the contractor. The contractor would be using that DPR data, the GFC drawings and others for the construction. And based on this would be handed over to the owner for the operations and maintenance for 40 years, 50 years, 100 years, right? So I would again reiterate, there are technologies which are available to do this, survey data in a better way and connect the whole process so that it is not disrupted at the end. Typically, I'm not getting critical, but it is truth that any infrastructure project, it doesn't go seamless in the data term, and at every stage we are losing the value that we have built during the earlier phase. I'll give you examples, 2 examples. The third example on the innovation, which I would say is that automated machine-driven construction. The geospatial technology has matured to that level where your design data that you have done can be transferred on a machine, your grader, excavator, compactor, where there is the ability to control the hydraulics of the machine using the geospatial technology, automate the whole process. The operator will only take the machine back and forth. We have done it in India. All the examples which I would speak are all done in India. And one example which I would take is on Bangalore airport, where the project was to be done with 21 graders, and we could do with the contractor with 9 graders. So we saved a lot of carbon footprint, and we did in much lesser expenses. We did a lot of resource saving. The third aspect is, you mentioned about NIP. We have $1.8 billion in NIP today. And in NIP, you only have projects which are more than 100 crores. So there are many projects which are less than that. So imagine now that if we have to do this number of projects, and people are same. आज के डेट में उसको project मिल जाता है, they hire the people from L&T, Tata project, whatever. The people are same. So there is a tremendous need to use the innovation which is happening in the technology, and there is a complete automation which is possible. In some cases it is complete automation, in some cases it is semi-automation which is possible. And we are all talking geospatial innovation, in connecting the labor, material and equipment. I will take a pause here, otherwise I'll take all the time.
Thank you so much. Over to you, Milan. What are your views on the current innovations or upcoming?
Thanks to Anand and Nikhil. I think they've made some very good points. And I just want to briefly say that the biggest irony right now facing the infrastructure industry is that whereas geospatial technologies offer a great potential, inherently the infrastructure, civil construction industry is sort of always laggard in adopting technologies. So the biggest potential for all of us here in the industry is the underexploited potential of using spatial technology in the industry. As you know, we contribute almost 7.5% or thereabouts to the GDP, but the penetration of the industry is very, very limited. Having said that, what Anand just said is an eye-opener because geospatial technology is taking you these days to automated construction processes. I can tell you that we are very, very uniquely privileged, even though we are a very small company that came out of IIT. We've had a particular client in the construction industry that's now actually looking at robotics and trying to apply geospatial technology to robotics, which is going to make construction safe, which is going to make construction in sensitive areas safe. Anand's already mentioned about automated JCBs and so forth. And these are real things that's happening. I think the biggest thing that we need to do now is to try to spread the word and say there are applications available in the industry that can be used. And I think there are amazing innovations going on. One can talk endlessly about it, keeping it brief and onwards to the drinking time.
Thank you,
Okay.
thank you. Very briefly, Anand ji, you spoke about some of the roadblocks. I would like, all our panelists to focus a little bit more on what do you think are the roadblocks for a larger penetration of geospatial industry or technology within this sector in India? So, can we have Nikhil?
Well,
share?
let's not talk about roadblock now. I mean, there are a lot of facilitators these days. In last a year or so, roadblocks have gone down. And as we just heard, there was a lot of lack of penetration and underexploitation that you spoke of. And you cannot force technology. Technology has to be embraced, right? And that trend we have started seeing in at least last 2 years. I'm in this industry for 27 years now. And I can tell you in last couple of years, or maybe a year and a half, I am seeing people embracing it. So since we are on the topic of data and analytics, how is people using it, right from the top road authority, national highway authorities, to say state road transport authorities, and how they are using it. So for instance, I will give a few examples because again, data and analytics. If somebody, so as I said, 1.5 lakh kilometer of national highways are there. And these are notified national highways. If somebody has to actually come up with in principle declared national highways, so there is a range that these are the criteria that you should meet in order for that to become a national highway, because there is a operation and maintenance cost that NHAI would have to bear. And then a lot of recommendations come from parliamentarians that these stretches have to be notified as national highways. It's a typical case of data and analytics. How do you be able to actually define that why this route should be taken, why notification or denotification of a already announced route or about to be announced route should be done? So you have to make it very transparent. So there will be several, parameters as to where is the economic node, what are the social and economic aspects there, all that kind, and which will it connect to, what is the demography that it's going to facilitate, and all that. Now, the great advantage in terms of the analytics it provides, it gives you all stretches, complete detail as to where is it connected to. All your parameters are right there, and in a very transparent way, you can actually decide, oh, these need to be notified, this does not need to be notified. So that's one aspect of it. The second aspect of it, if you were to enhance the penetration of geospatial, so there is something which nowadays we hear, Unified Logistics Interface Protocol. So there are a lot of national highway data, as I said, water network data, railway network data. And you want to have different kind of shipments reaching from A to B. You want to maximize on the empty containers. You have to maximize on the assets on the road. How do? You create data which is being actually aggregated from multiple sides. From Sarthi, you have a Sarthi wherein all your driver details are there. You have Vahan when the registration of the vehicle is there, right? Your FOIS information, your railway information, your toll information, everything is there. So you are simply picking up these APIs, putting that in an amalgamated way. And it is being called by a service which has got embeddable geospatial or navigable component. So then an application which is super rich not only creates location context into all these APIs, actually builds into the embedded location-based application, which provides you where is the empty container, where is that empty truck coming back, and optimize this whole notion, which is coming from where? From the data, which is available. You don't have to create, you don't have to do survey for that. It's already there, right? And then you need to kind of amalgamate, and already you have so many base maps. You can just choose which base map you want to integrate it on top and render it. So this is a classical case. I can go on, but this is a classical case. If somebody want in a rural road, whether he was talking about, compactors. So whether these many passes have been already taken by a compactor or not, you want to make it a transparent process. Geospatial provides you the ability to actually have those sensed data, communicate it with whatever protocol to the server, and you will be able to actually decide whether if these many passes were required by a compaction for a particular road, has that been done or not? Because there are multiple contractors and multiple stretches and chains of the road that are that is on a daily basis constructing the road. Either it is a national highway or is a rural roadways or it is a MDR or a PWD, whatever. So the ability which is now coming through, not as a roadblock, rather a facilitator, and people are calling and asking that, can you provide a dashboard which gives me this insight? And not only from one organization, from multiple organizations. So today I will just change it and say, what are the facilitators? What are the things which is prompting people to embrace location rather than still talking about this whole clash-ridden thing of roadblocks? Sorry.
What is your take, sir?
I think the roadblock is our mindset. And I would say mindset of everybody. While as a supplier of the technology or the evangelist of the technology, I feel, it can do everything. Why the other person is not doing, whereas the other person has not seen the benefit of it. One of the roadblocks which I see is the education. Because first of all, let me take my example. When I go and talk to owner, say NHAI, typically, the guy sitting across the table, he looks at me, have you done any road on, by yourself? My answer is no. I know the technology, but provided we do it together, we would be able to achieve what you are doing. Now, again example, and most of the times you talk to anybody, any owner, and you tell him this is what is available, his answer would be, we are doing it, we know it. You talk to any expressway, you talk to any, I went to Parliament building, CPWD said, we are doing all which has to be done. And when I said you are constructing it for 100 years, how do you ensure that the quality construction is happening? How do you ensure the wall flatness? How do you ensure the floor flatness? And I'm all talking geospatial technology, nothing else. Unless we demonstrated, unless they saw from their own eyes that, what is happening. And the worst thing is, infrastructure ecosystem is very fragmented. Owner thinks, his job is done the moment, he has hired a project management consultant. PMC has done a tender and his job is done the moment he has brought a design consultant. And design consultant gives it to the... So there are too much of transitions, there are too much of dependencies on the people. Having said that, there are people, there are visionaries available. I mean, thanks to sir, today at least the course is the talk of the town, right? Now, we have taken course one step ahead. We have implemented course on National High Speed Rail, 508 kilometers. Imagine the implication, and you asked this question just now, why others are not using it? Because now we are talking of giving a higher accuracy. Similar thing, I think NCRTC is also using it. So slowly and slowly this is happening, but there are very few Girish Kumars in the ecosystem. We need more of such people who can drive that change, and this will not happen on its own, because contractor will only do something which is helping him in productivity gain. He will not focus on the quality, because quality is the place where most of the money is made. Why would he do complete compaction? Tell me, he would not do. And who is measuring compaction? My answer is, I work with IITs, professors and everybody. There is a complete ecosystem which we are, taking forward and talking to the people. So the roadblock is not the thing. The opportunity is huge, huge opportunity. But that opportunity will only happen when we have more Girish Kumars in the system and they do mandates. They create mandates that this would be done. It will not happen on its own.
Milan, your take on the facilitation or the roadblocks?
Honestly, I feel the roadblock is really very, very simple. And I think one of the things is a lot of us who are in the spatial data analytics are digging a hole for ourselves by not being able to articulate this technology, which is so simple and so elegant, filling it up with jargons that we are not able to really bring in and spread awareness about its great impact. So, oftentimes we spend a lot of times trying and simple this technology is and how it can be used across various industries, including infrastructure. And I think if we were able to come up with a simple definition of what we really do, half our problems would be solved. This is my take on it, because when I go meet a client and I tell him, look, you can really use spatial data analytics to solve a very simple problem, they really don't know what spatial data analytics per se means. And so an awareness and articulation is very important. I'll cite an example. We were working with a particular infrastructure planning consultant. They had just launched major construction of certain FOBs across a cityscape. And then we started planning and constructing it. And then this is on the 5th floor of this department. The 3rd floor says, oh, we've already built those things there. And the simple thing was they didn't have one base map that showed where things were being planned, where roads were being widened. And when we said, oh, you can do this with a GIS or a spatial data analytics, it took a while for us to explain what it means. So I think the roadblock is really in us. If in the whole spatial data analytics, maybe the word itself is too complicated by itself in a sense. But we've gone beyond surveying, we've gone beyond things to doing a lot more things. So that's my take, if it does explain what I was meaning to say.
Yeah, I understand.
But what he just mentioned, that the communication gap, where this data which is available with one person, the second person doesn't know, and you are handling a large infrastructure project. So this data has to be connected. Yes. First the data, workflow, and at every place data is being created. Even at the conceptual stage, data is created. Even at the bidding stage, the data is created. And this data ultimately has to be put under some standardization on a common data environment, so that the people who are creating the data, it is available on single common data environment, be it Amazon cloud, be it Oracle cloud, be it whatever cloud, right? So this, and the analytics power of the cloud is much more, and then the consumers of this data, which is available as a single truth, there is no second truth. So common data environment, connected information, and the information which is going, the digital twin part, which is like connecting from a physical, first you connect a conceptual model of something, then you do a detailed design of that, and that is constructed in a physical format, and whatever you have constructed physical, it is not exactly in the what is in the digital format. This has to be now transferred back into a physical to digital, and this has to be used by everybody during the life cycle of the project.
So we got talking about common standards and common communication protocols, or as you said, like getting all the data together, which speaks to each other and is there together in one place for people to access.
Actually, this is happening. NHI has gone for data lake, right? Huge investment. I think the first step is taken. Kitna lagaya tha? 500 crore, right? Now, today, people are entering the data on the monitoring, the project monitoring, still in a manual format. Somebody is entering it, right? Maybe end of the day. What the technology gives with the AI, ML, Geo, whatever we have, it is possible that this data comes from a machine, from the IoTs, as Nikhil said, on the any communication network, and it will fill in the data what has happened. Now, when telematics people do, they put the map they put the dot on the map. Where is my machine? Whether it is on and off. The beauty of geospatial technology is I can actually give you how much of volume of work has happened. Is it as per the design? Is it not as per the design? But now the roadblock is it will bring transparency. So are we ready for the transparency? Absolutely. This is the last point which I will leave because I cannot answer that question.
It's tricky because it deals with human psychology. So my last question to the panelists, of course, I'll be a little selfish here, and I would like to know your thoughts on how an industry body like AGI can help in, further facilitating, as you would say, further facilitating the use or proliferation of the technology that our companies, our member companies are offering within the government or enterprise users in India. Your thoughts, Nikhil?
Well, that's a really tough question. What we all do is two process. When we go to meet a customer, we discover, because the idea is to solve a problem, right? So collectively we discover what the problem is and then try to position our solution for that. This discovery to handling the or addressing the problem through a solution is anybody as a company do. Can we do it collectively? Because I believe in collaborative geospatial investment. No one company, no one geospatial company can do everything. So this aggregated strength do we have as an industry? How can we go and actually position that right from the use cases, which are problems, and how in different continuum of geospatial, we all collectively can solve that problem. And you are already doing it. In fact, how AGI should do that? This is one of the examples. Deliberation is one of the way, confabulation, letting people know as to what kind of strengths that we have, the best practices, the different nuances that you hear. All these things actually lead to, facilitating on solving that problem. I was extremely amazed with the presentation made on the PMGSY. Well, people talked about OMAS, Geo Sadak, GRIS, these three things I heard. How many of us as a geospatial provider knew that such things are already there? So sometimes we start kind of over emphasizing on what do we have without knowing as what level of maturity an organization has already reached. So in awareness, not only to the customers, awareness among ourselves as to what level of maturity an organization has reached and what their typical problems would be, and collectively try to solve that through this forum is what I will say AGI should be able to do.
So, your take.
वो एक शेर है, मुझे याद नहीं आ रहा क्या, कि लोग जुड़ते गए, कारवां बढ़ता गया. सो आज मैं बुढ़ा हो गया, ये स्टोरी सुनाते सुनाते. कुछ लोगों ने खरीदी स्टोरी, कुछ ने नहीं खरीदी. मेरे साथ में अरुण जी हैं, रमन खन्ना जी हैं, दीपक was our customer. There are other customers, somewhere. They are telling the story, but everybody is telling the story the way, it fits. I think what AGI can do and this whole ecosystem can do is, push for a policy decision, push for these mandates, right? कि data lake में इतना पैसा लगाने के बाद भी, why is somebody entering the data manually? That question have to be asked. जो survey data, which was used for creating a DPR, why that DPR is only in that Word document and in DWG format? Why that 3D model, which was created by a design consultant, why that is not given to a contractor for doing his estimation of quantities so that he puts the right bid, right? And instead of, many of the contractors looking at how do they do the change management, बहुत सारे कॉन्ट्रैक्टर्स के पास पूरी लीगल टीम बैठी होती है, नॉट टू कि वो काम कैसे करना है, बट उस काम में से कैसे मेरे को चेंज या डिविएशन निकाल के हाउ डू आई मेक मनी. एंड मोस्ट ऑफ द टाइम्स दे डू अंडर कोटिंग राइट इन द बिगिनिंग एंड दे गेट द प्रोजेक्ट. सो आई थिंक व्हाट AGI can definitely do, AGI, and so we have to talk about policy, we have to talk about what is available in India, and whatever Nikhil, myself, and we are saying, it's all happening in India. Absolutely. And we can do a proof, right? We can show exactly what is possible, what we are doing. And by doing that, trust me, we would be able to save. I made this a statement to one of the largest contractors of the country that if you use this technology, you will save 8% of the project cost. And I was hounded by the team saying, 12% to total wastage hota hai project mein, how will you save 8%? I simply challenged and said, give me an opportunity, I'll show you. So same thing, it will not be Nikhil saying, I saying, individually it will not matter. Yes. Together as a policy, if it happens, it will create a huge impact. And it's time, the time is now.
Yes. Milan.
I think I would say the same things that Nikhil and Anand have said. The best thing AGI can do is continue to bring awareness. These forums are an excellent opportunity, particularly for a company like us, Bhugol GIS. We took this opportunity, we ended up coming here, and by coincidence, we are working in the infrastructure sector a lot more than others. So yeah, I think continue to do what you're doing. Bring in the energy and people together as and when you can. And nothing better than getting us to interact and then have a drink afterwards, right after this. So we are prepared to end. No, I think she gave us a warning right away. So that's the reason. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And just to sum up, I heard a lot of words that really resonated with me. I have a background in psychology, so I'm not nothing to do with infrastructure. But I look at people, and I'm very interested in people and processes that people follow. And that's exactly what our panelists have also been saying. The problems over here are not so much of technology or not so much of opportunities or not so much of the willingness or the roadblocks, as he said. But yes, the human interaction, the communication, the working in silos, those problems still exist. And those are something that, you know, we collectively as a community have to work towards to ensure that our industry has more opportunities coming our way in the infrastructure sector. So with that, thank you so much to all our panelists. And now I hand over the floor to Sakshi. Thank you.
Thank you, Megha, and thank you to all our esteemed panelists for such an engaging session. Ladies and gentlemen, we now proceed to a very special and much awaited part of the India Geospatial Leadership Summit, the presentation of AGI India Awards. AGI is conferring these awards to geospatial user organizations for exemplary work done across multiple sectors. The aim is to encourage the use and adoption of innovative geospatial technologies for projects in wider domains. The various nominations received from central and state government agencies, geospatial private sector companies, and academia were evaluated by a distinguished and independent jury headed by Dr. Shailesh Nayak, Director, NIAS, and Dr. V.K. Dadwal, Indira Gandhi Chair Professor of Environmental Science, NIAS, and former Director, NRSC. With this, I would like to request on stage former Surveyor General, Lieutenant General Girish Sir, and AGI President, Agendra Sir, to come forth and present the award winners. The AGI India Award for Excellence in Defense and Security goes to UP Police Technical Services for the Crime and Criminal Networking Tracking and Systems Project. May I request Ms. Pratibha Ambedkar, DIG UP Police, to please come forth and receive the award. A comprehensive mobile application was developed using Hexagon's state-of-the-art software products that enable simplified analysis of crime across zones, which in turn helps in effectively planning countermeasures. Nearest police officials are automatically detected during any incident, along with relaying the frequency at which they can reach the crime spot. All rungs of the police system, up to the DG level, can access crime-related insights and analytics with a single click. The AGI India Award for Excellence in Water Resources goes to the Namami Gange flagship program by the National Mission for Clean Ganga. May I request Piyush Gupta and his team from NMCG to please come abatement, solid and liquid waste management, biodiversity, afforestation, wetland conservation, It uses Hexagon's flagship Imagine software in conjunction with technology like the National Image Web Service of Natural Color Products and Imagery uses state-of-the-art AirDAS Imagine software as an OGC-compliant map service to Bharat Maps. The AGI India Award for Excellence in Agriculture goes to the Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojana Crop Insurance Project by Agriculture Insurance Company of India Limited. May I request Ms. Rajeshwari Singh, General Manager AICIL, and G. Senthil Kumar, Manager Research and Development AICIL, to come forth and receive the award. AICIL used artificial intelligence-based digital image processing and classification by Hexagon AirDAS Imagine for automated analytics of crop health, density, acreage and condition, accurate change detection, classification, crop insurance, watershed, irrigation, planting, etc. on the existing geotagged information. These solutions have resulted in timely claim settlement of farmers, insurance for farmers, development of digital records of crop acreage, yield, classification, and growth. The AGI India Award for Excellence in Urban Management goes to GIS Singularity Project by Punjab Municipal Infrastructure Development Company. May I request Ms. Anup Kaur Guleria and her team to please come forth and receive the award. The Integrated Command and Control Center at PMIDC is the GIS backbone based on which multiple groundbreaking e-governance interventions have been designed. Drona maps used traditional geospatial techniques, integrating them with data coming from management information systems, drone maps, mobile applications, chatbots, and more. In the end, a layer of intelligent AI ML analytics built on S3 ArcGIS 10.8 enables the usage of select data points for effective decision making. The AGI India Award for Excellence in Disaster Management goes to Karnataka State Remote Sensing Application Center for Forest Fire Monitoring and Analysis. May I request Dr. D.K. Prabhuraj and Mr. Jayachandran Mani, along with their team, to come forth and receive this award. KSR-SAC used moderate resolution imaging spectroradiometer and Suomi National Polar Orbiting Partnership Visible Infrared Imaging Radiometer suite to detect a total of 398,774 forest fires since November 2020. Hexagon Imagine Professional with Expansion Pack Satellite-based remote sensing technology and GIS tools were used effectively for this process. The AGI India Award for Excellence in Land Administration goes to the Department of Land Resources for the unique land parcel identification number and integrated land information management system projects. The team of DLR had to leave for a meeting, so they are not with us right now, but they will be with us shortly. In the meantime, I would like to talk more about their project. While the UL PIN aims at generating new land records and updating existing ones with cadastral records mirroring the ground reality, the ILIMS aims at improving real-time land information, optimizing resources, and assisting in policy and planning. Finally, the AGI India Award Finally, the AGI India Award for Excellence in Infrastructure Development goes to the National Highways Authority of India for monitoring of NHAI assets and construction. The NHAI team is also not with us right now. NHAI deployed aerial mapping and videography, photogrammetric ortho-imaging, land audits, and 3D land mapping using drones for the aforementioned. Marvel Geospatial Services and UAVs were used for data capture of national highways and toll plazas, and this data was interlaced with timestamps, geographic coordinates, structural information, and dynamic chainage. Thank you again, sir and Girish sir, for presenting the awards. With that, ladies and gentlemen, we come to the end of the award session. I would now request all of you to please proceed for the dinner reception and cocktail hour. Thank you.